Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Above the Rim Rundown, where we run down all things NBA. I am one of your hosts, Memo, and right beside me, I've got Hoops. How you doing?
What's going on, man? Overall, I've been doing good, just getting through with work life and pretty much regular routine. Um, how you doing, man?
I'm just trying to survive. It's always busy here. Today, I had to help my dad install a screen door, and that was a disaster. We both thought we just had to screw in the hinges to the door, and that's it. But there's so many extra steps that we had to take. He kind of gave up. I started working on it, and I was just pissed the whole time because I didn't get it, and we never even finished it either because it was so weirdly complicated for some reason. But yeah, that's just how my days been for the most part. Just doing random things, trying to get stuff done, even if it frustrates me. Um, but yeah, except for I guess Sunday. Sunday was a good day. We talked about this last week, but we were talking about how for my birthday we're going to go to the not wild park, water park. That's what we did. We went with my sisters and our friend Alex, and it was fun. It was definitely fun. If you want to talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, definitely glad we were able to make the trip out on Sunday to celebrate Mamo's birthday. It was a great time. Um, my first time going to this water park specifically. Mamo has been several times himself, but we'll we'll say for our first experience, it was pretty good. So yeah, I was glad we were able to have a little celebration, and hopefully, I think for sure we'll have to make another visit, whether it's for another birthday or just for the sake of fun during the summer.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially since if you compare the prices to other amusement parks, or water parks, it's honestly not that bad. It is really fun, even though it's a small park. There's still a ton of things to do. One of my, I don't know if this was my favorite part, but I thought this was hilarious. Was one of the slides, how it's set up. You go through a normal slide, and then it's almost like a half pipe. I think that's what it's called in a skateboard, where you go down a ramp and then you immediately go up. And we went so high because I guess there was a lot of us on the a raft, and the weight made us go down faster. So because we went down fast, we went up high, and I think we all were we're in the air at one point. Uh, we're off the raft for a second, landed back onto the slide, and I ended up going backwards. And since I went backwards and we were going so fast, and there was a bump, I ended up falling off the raft for a second. I was drowning for a little bit, and then I got back on somehow, some way. So yeah, that was one of my favorite parts, even though it was terrifying.
Yeah, that was definitely a fun one for sure. I will say the fact that Memo was able to get back on the raft after he momentarily looked like he was gonna fall off was pretty impressive because I thought he was gonna fall off. I mean, granted, it wouldn't have mattered because it would have been the end of the ride anyway. But yeah, that was pretty impressive. You were able to somehow get back
I
on.
don't even know what happened, but it was hilarious. And just seeing my sister's face while we were on that ride, and when we uh, went up that climax, and seeing how scared she looked, it was so funny. So
Yeah,
hopefully we're able to go back next year or even sooner because it's
yeah.
super fun.
Yeah, I definitely hope so for sure. Had a great time. We were able to go on the majority of the good ones.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, I think it was a pretty good time well spent for sure.
Yeah, the only good slide we didn't do because it was closed down was the
Yeah.
water coaster, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
a slide, but it has machinery too. So even though you go down for a bit, oh, launch you back up and like do a little like bunch of bumps. Nothing too crazy, but it's still really fun being able to do that.
For sure. Yeah. Hopefully next time if we go back, it will be open.
Yeah, hope so. But yeah, I guess that was a a good conversation about the water park. But this isn't a water park podcast. It's a basketball podcast. So let's talk some basketball. We're continuing our rankings for every position. Last week we did small forwards. This week we're doing power forwards. Before the recording, I let Hoops know that I'm not super confident with my list. So will I be making some changes within the episode? Probably not, but you might mention some players or have a good argument, and maybe I will want to change my mind, but I'm gonna try to stick with my guns. Try to stand on business and present my list how I have set it up. Um, but yeah, because I feel like I'm not super confident with my 15 to begin with. I don't even have a lot of uh, honorable mentions. Like I usually try to bring five. Last week I only brought three. This week, like I'll be honest, the only person that I do feel bad not adding to the list is Tumani Kamara, who is a great defender for the Blazers and was able to make I think second all defensive this past season. That's the only player that I had in my honorable mentions, and actually like felt bad not having him on my list. Uh, there's definitely an argument for him being on the list, but I ended up having other players instead. Did you have a lengthier honorable mentions list?
Um, Shockingly, believe it or not, I did have more than one player. So, by that definition, yes, it was lengthier. Um, I will go ahead and list them. So, first player that I listed was Tari Eason. He had a pretty good season with the Rockets last year, and he is like 3, 4, 5 years into his career, something like that. I feel like he's definitely shown a good amount of potential for sure. Um, Gradually, seems like he took a bit of a jump last year, which was a huge reason why Rockets were. Well, I'm not saying he was like the reason, but he was one of the reasons that helped the Rockets get to the second seed last year. And not too bad. He um averaged 12 points a game, over 6 rebounds, um, nearly 2 assists, shooting 49% from the field and 34 from three. Um, yeah, definitely a pretty fun player to watch. So had to put Tari Eason as an honorable mention. Um, Second honorable mention I had was PJ Washington. So I would say that last season, maybe he wasn't necessarily as good as the previous season when helping the Mavs get to the finals. But I think that a lot of that was also swept under the rug because the Mavs had a lost season due to injury. Um, so the thing about PJ Washington is he's a really good he's pretty good with spacing the floor and slashing the rim. He averaged nearly 15 points a game, 8 rebounds, and shot a pretty respectable 38% from three and 48 overall from the field. And especially 2023-24 after getting traded to the Mavs and a huge boost for how they were able to make that magical run 2 seasons ago. So I had to give PJ Washington a mention. And final honorable mention I have is Obi Toppin. Um, he had a pretty good season for the Pacers getting to the finals last year. Good contributions. Um, 11 points, 4 rebounds, 53% from the field, and a pretty respectable 37% from three. Um, 5 years into the league, and he's been pretty good. Um, But yeah, those would be the three honorable mentions I had: Tari Eason, PJ Washington, and Obi Toppin.
Those are for sure very great shout outs. I definitely was thinking about Tari Eason, but yeah, I wasn't fully convinced with him. And Obi Toppin as well. I was definitely thinking about him for sure, but I didn't put too much thought into this list. I'll say so. That's why I don't have much to say. But those are some great shouts. Easton is a great defender. Obi Toppin, very athletic, could make a three here and there for sure. So yeah, those honorable mentions definitely um, are worth a mention for sure. But yeah, I guess we could just get started and reveal our first chunk as we always do. We reveal our top 15 by chunks of 5. So we're going to reveal our 15 through 11 right now. And then later on, 10 through 6. Then the top 5. But right now, the first chunk, 15 through 11. We're gonna reveal it right now. Oops, this is from last year. Jonathan Kaminga is not gonna be in my list this year. I'll tell you that. Uh, okay, I'm gonna now reveal it. All right. Interesting. A few of the names on your list I had on my list last year and knocked off of my list for this year. So, would you like to read through them?
Yeah, so at number 15, I got John Collins. Number 14, Tobias Harris. Number 13, Keegan Murray. Number 12, Tumani Kamara. And at number 11, Jeremy Grant.
And for me, I've got at number 15, PJ Washington, 14, John Collins, 13, Draymond Green, 12, Aaron Gordon, and 11, Lauri Markkanen. So, uh, this portion of our chunks, I guess, is pretty different. I'll tell you right now, 4 of the players I don't even have on my list. I already mentioned Tamar Kamara as an honorable mention. Jeremy Grant, I do not have. Just I feel like he's just a good stat on a bad team type of guy. I think I even mentioned that last year when I had him on my list, but I just ended up kicking him out for some decent role players. Keegan Murray, uh, I guess I should have paid attention to more Kings games last year. I know he had like a great rookie year. He could be a great 3-and-D guy, but he hasn't. I at least don't think he hasn't done anything great since. And then Tobias Harris is always a decent shout. He does his job. He gets buckets at times. So those 4 players I don't have. Obviously, we both have John Collins on our list. But yeah, since they're very different, I would like to hear some explanation. Why do you have all these players in this portion of your list?
Yeah. So starting with John Collins, the guy who just barely made my list. So the reason why I put him on my list was because he had a pretty decent season last year, I would say, for a rebuilding Jazz team. 19 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 53% from the field, and 40% from three. For a power forward, 40% from three is honestly pretty damn good. But this was his highest points total average since 2019-2020, which is a good 5-year difference. So shout out to him for that. Now his inconsistencies is definitely an issue for sure. And he also tends to turn the ball over quite a bit. Apparently, he had more turnovers than assists last season. Um, FYI, 103 turnovers, 80 assists. Quite a bit of a margin too, which is kind of crazy. But another thing about it is he had quite impressive numbers, and he didn't even play half a season last year. He only played 40 games. Um, and obviously in the offseason, he got traded to the Clippers in the 3-team deal. And I would say pretty good ad by the Clippers. I hate to say it, but it was a good ad, I think. Obviously, they did lose Norman Powell in the process, so a little bit of a trade off there, but they were able to obviously get the replacement for Norman Powell. So I feel like that kind of makes up the ground for them there. But yeah, those reasons I listed are why I included John Collins on my list. Next up, Tobias Harris. So after he had a pretty disappointing season with the Sixers the previous year, especially that trash playoff outing against the Knicks, he happened to have a pretty decent comeback with the Pistons, I think. I mean, obviously nothing too crazy impressive, but he did his part. Um, 14 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 48% from the field, 35% from three. Um, he's, though pretty inconsistent at times, generally speaking, he could space the floor. Um, he could also attack the rim a little bit. And I think that he is still capable of being a good bench warming player. I would probably prefer him not to be a starter if could be avoided. Um, Next on the list, Keegan Murray. So honestly, I don't remember I probably only watched aside from when the Kings played the Lakers, I probably only watched one other Kings game, and that might have been the play-in game against the Mavs when they got their ass whooped badly. So yeah, I don't really pay much attention to the Kings either. But I think that Keegan Murray has been a pretty good up and coming young player in the league so far. He he's able to provide a spark for the Kings. 12 points, 7 rebounds, a little bit over 1 assist per game, 44% from the field, and 34 from three. And I think that the thing about him is the first season he showed a lot of promise, and then he kind of plateaued a little bit from then, as in you haven't really seen crazy improvements. But overall, I think that he's still been showing a good amount of promise, and maybe he can make the next step. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But overall, I think that Keegan Murray is definitely a pretty good up and coming young star in the league. Um, Next player on my list, Tumani Kamara. So obviously, as mentioned earlier, he was on the All NBA second team, and that's what he's known for, defense. He averaged 1.5 steals per game and finished top 10 in Defensive Player of the Year voting, and in addition to the second All NBA defensive team. And along with that, his offense is not too bad either. I mean, average 11 points a game, nearly 6 rebounds, 46% from the field, and 38 from three. So yeah, obviously doing that for a not so good team, maybe, maybe or maybe not, he could still provide a pretty good spark for a contender, but that would be a story for another day. Overall, I think that Tumani Kamara definitely deserving of being on this list. And number 11 is Jeremy Grant. So I think that if this was 2, 3, 4 years ago, he would be possibly higher. Instead, I find him still on the list, just a little bit lower. Overall, still pretty good though. averaged 14 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 37% from the field, 37 from three. Um, Pretty good player. To I would say like on a contending team, he would be a good spark off the bench. On a bad team, he's one of the um guys who would be good in a starter role to get you a lot of points added on the board and stats for sure. Um, like for example, when he played for the Nuggets and the Thunder, who were actually pretty good playoff teams, he was able to do a good job in his role, even though like less touches. So I would say Grant's shooting abilities and offensive spark abilities is what I considered when putting him on this list. So there you have it. That would be my 15 through 11.
Yeah, I don't have much to say. Honestly, I do believe this is probably our most like different, I guess, chunk when you compare it to like the rest of our rankings so far. It is so different with us having only one player in common. And I believe that is because of positioning once again. Like I remember last week you had a player as a small forward that I was going to consider as a power forward. I know that I added a player this week that could be considered a center, but I have him as a power forward this year, even though I think I had him as a center the year before. So I'm assuming that's going to be the biggest reason why our lists are so different. But yeah, right now, the only play I really I guess do regret not having on my list is Tumani Kamara because of his defense. The other players, I feel like it's fine not having them on my list. Tobias Harris, though, like, he gets a lot of hate, and, sometimes he deserves it. But, in the playoffs this year, he has some big games. Like, I remember Cade Cunningham was struggling because he was, like, the only guy scoring. And it was Tobias Harris and Dennis Schroeder to save the day, which was very interesting for a few games. So shout out to Tobias, shout out to him. But yeah, I guess I could move on to my list, starting with PJ Washington, who I could easily switch him with Tumani Kamara, but I'm standing on business today, so I will stick with PJ Washington, a good 3-and-D guy. Maybe dipped down a little bit last year, but as he said, last year was a very weird year for the Mavs, losing Luka, losing Kyrie due to injury, not being able to make the playoffs even though they made the finals the year before. So I'm sure, if everybody's healthy next year, which is not going to happen because of Kyrie getting injured, he'll probably be back just very late into the year. But, assuming everybody's healthy, PJ Washington probably will have a decent year back next year. Next, I have John Collins. Low key, like a pretty good scorer. I kind of forget that about him, but he does average like around 20, and he's been doing that, or he's done that a few times throughout his career. I will say he didn't play a lot of games last year. He only played 40. So, those stats are a bit skewed, but still, a decent athletic score. And I doubt that his points per game is going to be around the 19 mark next year, but he will be with the Clippers next year and with a better team. So it'll be interesting seeing him play for a team that should be winning a lot more games. But we'll see, especially with that Kawhi thing going on. We really don't know what's going to happen to the Clippers next year. Unfortunately, number 13, I had to add Draymond Green, mostly for the defense. Like, if you look at his stats, it's not anything impressive, but he's still one of the best defenders in the league. He tried to do a propaganda campaign last year, so he could be defensive player of the year. Luckily, he didn't win, but he did have some great defensive moments last year. I didn't think he deserved defensive player of the year. I'm glad he didn't win defensive player of the year, but he's still one of the best defenders in the league for sure. And yeah, we'll see what happens next year with the Warriors. The Warriors are, very confusing at the moment because they didn't really do anything in the off season. They're dealing with the Kaminga contract situation just recently. I know Jimmy Butler went to the front office and asked like what's going on, so he might be angry, and when Jimmy Butler's angry, nobody's happy. So a lot might go wrong for the Warriors next year, so we'll see how Draymond responds to that. At number 12, I do have Aaron Gordon. Great defender, athletic guy, as we all know, can get a bucket here and there. Secretly clutch. He had 2 clutch baskets last year. One was like that very tight, close dunk that he was able to get off, and the other was a 3-pointer, I believe. So yeah, Aaron Gordon comes through from time to time. It's impressive. He's a very impressive player. Obviously deserves to be on the list. And then 11, I have Lauri Markkanen, who has definitely, dipped down these last few years. He was a one-time All-Star a couple years, or he became an All-Star a couple years ago. And then since then, he hasn't been the same. I will say injuries has definitely plagued him, especially this past season. Only played 47 games, and obviously playing for the Jazz also doesn't help. So if he was in a better situation, I'm sure he'd be a lot higher. But I have a good feeling he'll bounce back, especially seeing how great he was in while playing for his home country this summer. He was going off. He had like 30-point games before the half, like a couple 40 bombs, I believe. So I wouldn't be surprised if Lauri Markkanen bounces back next season. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, so that is my list. Anything you want to add to the conversation, or should we move on? I don't know. What do you think?
Overall, I would say not too much. Most of these guys I happen to have on my list. Obviously, PJ Washington was an honorable mention. But very arguable, could and should be on this list. So I would say overall, not too much to say because I think all of them are worthy players for sure. Oh yeah, and then Aaron Gordon I had in the small forwards list last week.
You
I believe.
did?
Did I? Wait, did I? Actually, wait, hold
I
on.
don't remember
Let me
that.
let me think. Did I do that? Um,
Yeah, double check the notes. I don't think
No,
you
I
did
didn't.
that.
I didn't. Okay, I got confused. Yeah. I did not put him last week. I thought maybe I did, but false alarm.
But do you just not have him this week then? Like, did you forget about
I
him or something?
I have him.
Oh, you do
I
have him.
for
Okay.
yeah, I forgot which position I put him as because isn't he like sometimes listed as both of them?
I think so, maybe. But like, I knew for
Yeah.
sure like Michael Porter Jr. was the small forward for the
Yeah.
Nuggets. He was the power forward.
Hmm.
Jokic is the center. So to me, he's a power forward.
Yeah. So yeah, just a slight false alarm there, but I do happen to have him on this list.
All good.
So,
It's all
yeah,
good.
I think yeah. So I think the main key difference is just the fact that I had PJ Washington as a honorable mention.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's it. Um. All right. I guess we could reveal our next chunk, the 10 through 6. Let's see if things get spicy. It might be. Let's see. Oh, this is weird, but what the? Okay.
Formatting.
Yeah, the formatting's weird, but my list is there. Your list is there. Let's
Hmm.
talk about it. Who's in your list?
All right, so Number 10, Draymond Green. Number 9, Aaron Gordon. Number 8, Julius Randle. Number 7, Laurie Markkinen. And number 6, Zion Williamson.
And for me, at number 10, Jalen Johnson. Number 9, Scotty Barnes. Number 8, Julius Randle. 7, Jaren Jackson Jr. And 6, Zion Williamson. I believe last week you had both Scotty Barnes and Jalen Johnson in your small forwards list. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
So the positioning once again causing a little bit confusion here and there, but yeah, they
Yeah.
were in my small forwards list last week.
Okay. So that's why you don't have them this week, which perfectly makes sense. And then something that I thought might have been controversial, but you did the exact same thing. Zion Williamson no longer in the top five for power forwards list. Um, you're gonna go first talking about your list, but I'm definitely curious on what you have to say about that. Even though, like, I feel like we're both not Zion haters at all,
No,
but like, we both kind of made the same realization that like Zion is Zion. He's not a top five power forward,
yeah,
but yeah, I'll have you do your explanation.
for sure. So I'll get to Zion when I get to number 6, but for now I will start from number 10, and that being Draymond Green. So obviously Draymond Green is not necessarily the same player as he was during the years when the Warriors were really competing as contenders for championship. But even then, he's still a very key, crucial role player for the Warriors team, and that being his defense and his rebounding abilities, and being a pest on the court, trash talking, obviously. Um, Now, yeah, obviously, not really a scorer, only 9 points per game. Rebounding, still getting the job done, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Um, and thing about him is he finished third in Defensive Player of the Year voting at age 34, and he earned first team All Defensive honors. That alone just made me have to put him on this list. So, number 10, Draymond Green. Number 9, Aaron Gordon. So, reason why I had to put Aaron Gordon on this list, really good contributor to the Nuggets team for sure. He is an elite rim rim finisher. He can now also shoot the ball pretty good. Matter of fact, those two being his specialties, he literally had a game winner of each last year in the playoffs. The dunk against the Clippers, the three against the Nuggets. Really impressive for sure. Um, but yeah, freaky athletic player. Um, great catching lobs from Jokic, obviously, floor general and explosive athlete. Um, that's a match made in heaven. And yeah, now that the Nuggets obviously traded MPJ and replaced him with Cam Johnson, I feel like Aaron Gordon probably, if anything, going to be about the same role. Who knows? Maybe a bigger role. But yeah, Aaron Gordon definitely had to be on this list for sure. Um, next player on the list, Julius Randle. So the thing about Julius Randle is obviously last year when the trade was first initially made, it looked like a very dumb trade for the Timberwolves. Like, what the hell are you guys even doing? And probably still was a bad move for sure. I mean, Cat is clearly the better player, but Julius Randle honestly happened to hold his zone a little bit. I mean, he's still not the he's still the lesser of the two players, but he did a pretty good job of at least holding his ground and playing his role. And last year, he was able to still average pretty good numbers: 19.7 rebounds, 5 assists, 49% from the field, and 34% from three. Um, Yeah, and the Timberwolves, obviously, we would have thought maybe they take a step back, wouldn't be able to make it back to the conference finals. They found a way to still do that, even post the trade. So that would be why I had to include Julius Randle on this list. Um, Next player, Lauri Markkanen. So the reason why I had to include Lauri Markkanen on this list, um, he's pretty obviously ever since he went to the Jazz, he was able to make a pretty good boost in his career after a relatively slow start with the Bulls and the Cavs. Even though he did look better on the Cavs, also um, averaged 19 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 42% from the field, and 35 from three. Um, Doing pretty much one of the few bright spots for a not very good Jazz team. And rumor has it that obviously Jazz put him on the trade market. Teams are going to be interested. They just haven't yet found um, a pairing return that they would like. So more to be determined there. I say hopefully it happens. Free Lowry. Um, but yeah, um, definitely worthy of being on this list for sure. And that takes us to number 6, Zion Williamson. So obviously, you were mentioning that you thought it would possibly be a little bit of a controversy not putting him in top 6. I mean, not putting him in top 5. And I say, obviously, it's reasonable because both of us did it at exactly 6. And that being is obviously his lack of availability. When he is healthy and on the floor, he does great things and he's able to show crazy good promise and potential. The problem is he just misses too many games here in, here out. Um, and that's pretty much it. I mean, like, he's still a pretty good player, young player in the league. Averaged 25 points a game, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, shooting 57% from the field. However, his 3-point shooting, major work needed. Only a whopping 23% from three. Not good. Um, Anyways, though, obviously he still has the explosiveness, the strength. Um, Still pretty athletic player despite his weight issues he had. But yeah, if he can get his body to maintain some slimness and find a way to stay on the floor healthy, I could see him getting back in the top 5. But for now, I will have to keep him on top 6. And those would be my players from number 10 to number 6.
All right, cool, cool. So, I can't really disagree with much. I feel like a lot of the players that we have in common are, relatively near. I guess you like Lowry Markkinen more than I do, um, but I feel like you are more like in the mindset that he has the potential to to amazing, especially if he's no longer with the Jazz, right? Um, so with that logic, that makes sense for him being there because he has the skill set. He's very athletic. He can, you know, shoot threes. Maybe not as well this year as previous years, but he had some pretty efficient 3-point shooting years in the past for sure. So he could be like a top 7, top 6 power forward in the league for sure. Um, if he left the Jazz, maybe some way somehow, but we'll see if that ever happens. Probably, but we'll see. And then the Zion talk, yeah, I definitely agree with you there with him. I'll go over my thoughts real soon about him, but it's just very disappointing. He's an exciting player. He had a lot of hype going into his rookie year, right? He was slated to be like the next LeBron, and now he never is healthy, which there's only so much he could do about that. It's not entirely his fault. So I do feel bad for Zion, but yeah, I gotta be honest while making this list, right? He's not a top 5 power forward. There's been a few that have been improving throughout the year. So, yeah, good takes. Good takes. I guess I can start going over my five, starting with Jalen Johnson, who you had last week as a small forward. I'm having him as a power forward. He's a great player who's been improving a lot throughout the years. He could have had an argument for most improved player during the 2023-2024 season, where he jumped from 5.6 points per game to 16. That's a huge jump, but he didn't play a lot of games that year, and he didn't play a lot of games last year either. Only 36 games for Jalen Johnson, which is very unfortunate. And it's the biggest reason why I don't have him higher, because when he's on the floor, he is really, really, really good. He is a good scorer, almost 20 points per game if we're rounding up. Decent rebounder, believe, 10 rebounds per game, 5 assists per game. Decent defender, which is needed for a Trae Young-led team. He is a great number 2 for Atlanta. I'm sure if healthy next year, he'll be an all-star. He nearly was an all-star this past season, but obviously injuries ruined that for him. But if he stays healthy, I guarantee it, he will be an all-star next year. He is that good. Very athletic guy. I remember when he dunked on Austin Reeves, nuts to face. It was a brutal poster there. So shout out to Jalen Johnson. He's just gonna get better and better. So, yeah, expect him to be higher next year on the list. Next, I've got Scotty Barnes. He could be a small forward. He could be power forward. It depends, I guess. But I have him this year as a power forward. I think I had him small forward last year. Decent season. 19.3 points per game. He didn't fall off too much from the previous year. I guess he's less efficient, especially from 3. He kind of lost his 3-point shot. Averages 7% less from 3 than he did the previous year. So that's not good. Also not good is that he gets injured quite a bit. He did make it to 65 games played, but still he's been missing a good amount of games these last couple years. But hopefully he'll get healthy. Hopefully the Raptors in general are all healthy, so we could see what that team actually looks like with all those pieces together, with Scotty Barnes, and then Brandon Ingram, whoever else they have on the team. I'm blanking. I know Pirtle's on the team. I know RJ Barrett. That's who I was forgetting. Is Quickly on the team? Quickly's on the team, right? I'm pretty sure.
Raptors, yeah. Quickly is on the Raptors.
Quickly's on the Raptors, so they've got decent players.
He was traded for when the Knicks got OG.
Right. So they've got decent players. We'll see if that crop ends up doing anything. But yeah, with Scotty Barnes being the lead guy, can do a little bit of everything, can rebound, can score, can play make. Who knows? Maybe they'll have a really surprising season. So yeah, shout out to Scotty Barnes. Next, I do have Julius Randle. I kind of wanted to put him higher, but technically his stats did dip quite a bit. Now he went to a new team, new dynamic, right? He was injured a bit last year, so it makes sense that his points per game is a lot less, and his other stats are a lot less, and that's why I don't have him even higher. But man, that the playoff run that he had this season, spectacular, the best he's ever looked on the court. Unfortunately, he did that against my Lakers. Like, why? Why would you do that, Julius Randle? You were one of us. You were one of us. He decided to have like one of his best playoff performance against the Lakers, which is unfortunate. But it's amazing for him because he was known as a playoff choker before this season. And, he kind of changed those narratives this past season. He had some duds in the conference finals, but, the fact that they made the conference finals and the fact that he was a big reason why is very impressive. So, shout out to Julius Randle. Great bully ball, offensive guy. Gets his rebounds. I wanted to put him higher, especially since I don't like the next guy I'm going to talk about, but this next guy does deserve this spot, and it's Jaren Jackson Jr., who made a leap offensively for sure. Um, at least, when it comes to efficiency. The points per game isn't too different from the previous season, but still, he's made some great improvements offensively. And defensively, he's good. He's still good. I still think he's massively overrated. Like, it's hard for me to take a 7-footer seriously if they can't rebound. He only averages 5.6 rebounds per game. Like, what are we doing? You're 7 feet tall. What are you doing? You've been gifted. You've been gifted with height. You've been gifted and you can't grab a board, especially in the playoffs. Or was it the play-in? They made the playoffs, right? Right.
Um,
I'm pretty sure they did.
yeah.
Yeah, they did, and got destroyed by the Thunder. Like, Jaren
Yep.
Jackson Jr. was trash. So, like, I think he's massively overrated. He's very soft. He's not very physical at all. That's why most of his points is from like the mid range. Uh, that's why he can't rebound. And that's why he gets into foul trouble too. But still, he's made some great improvements and low key became the number one guy for the Grizzlies. We'll see if that continues now that they have a new coach. And Ja will be, hopefully healthy and not getting himself in trouble. We'll see if Jaren Jackson Jr. sticks being a number one option, but who knows? But yeah, last guy, number 6, Zion Williamson. Stats are good. 24.6 points per game, 7.2 rebounds per game, 5.3 assists per game. When he's on the court, man, he's amazing. He really is. He could be like a top 15 player in the league when healthy. But that's the issue. He's never healthy. He's never healthy. How are we supposed to root for this guy if he can't play? He only played 30 games last year. Uh, he still hasn't played a playoff game, which is so unfortunate. Because, imagine seeing Zion in a playoff setting. That sounds exciting to me. Um, and, I don't want to say that the only reason why I lowered him was because he was injured, but, like, it's hard to justify putting him higher than other players if he doesn't play. So, although it kind of sucks, lowering him down from where he was last year to where he is now, it is definitely something that I have to do because there are players that are more worthy of being a top 5 power forward, while I can't really say the same for Zion anymore. So that is that chunk. Anything you want to say? I know we had some similar placements, kind of, but anything you want to add on to that?
Um, Not too much because two of them I put on the list last week, so that's why they weren't mentioned here. And a few players you put here, I have them in the same group as well. And then Jaren Jackson Jr., I have him just a little bit higher than you, spoiler alert. But pretty close by. So I would say overall, not too much.
All right. Well, why don't we just spoil it and reveal our top five power forwards for this upcoming season? And yeah, we'll reveal them together right now. I think the formatting is gonna be very weird, but oh no, it actually turned out well. Okay. All right. You know what? This is the closest we've been so far. Except you don't have a player here that I'm surprised you don't have. Um, read off your list. I'll read off mine, and then we'll talk about the player.
Yeah. Number 5, I have Jaren Jackson Jr. Number 4, Pascal Siakam. Number 3, Paolo Banchero. Number 2, Anthony Davis. And at number 1, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
And for me, at number 5, Pascal Siakam. Number 4, Evan Mobley. 3, Paulo Banchero. 2, Anthony Davis. 1, Giannis Antetokounmpo. We had the same exact top 3. Pascal Siakam is in both of our top 5 power forward chunk. The only difference is that you do not have Evan Mobley. Is that a positioning thing once again?
I think that I had a little bit of a confusion on whether he would be like a power forward or a center. Um, I guess now that I think about it, he's more of a power forward because Jared Jackson plays. I mean, Jared Allen. Why did I say Jared Jackson? Jared Allen plays center, so Evan Mobley is more of the 4. Um, so I probably should have put him in this list, honestly. But
Where would you have put him if he did put him on the list?
I would, hmm, I would say either 4 or 5, probably. Um, I would say like ahead of Jaren Jackson, probably ahead of Siakam also, honestly. So probably the same spot as you. Honestly, I probably would have had the same top 5 as you if not to like the slight confusion for position, I
Uh huh.
guess.
It's honestly very surprising how, like, our top fives are basically the same, even though the rest of the list has been pretty different for the most part.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. And I will say this, I mean obviously going to talk about player by player in a moment, but I had like some thought about the positioning between like AD and Paulo. Ultimately, I put AD 2, Paulo 3 because I feel like AD is still a little bit more seasoned. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, I guess I can go to the explaining now.
Go for it.
Um, Number 5, Jaren Jackson Jr. So obviously last year he made the All Star and he had a pretty good season for the Grizzlies. I mean, you could argue maybe he was the best Grizzly last year over Ja. I would like to still think Ja is a better overall player, but perhaps Jaren was better last season. Um, Averaged 22 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 49% from the field, and 38% from 3. Um, the fact that he's able to shoot as a big is definitely a pretty good plus for sure. He's obviously a really good defender, maybe a little bit overrated, but still one of the top defenders in the league. And he's also obviously a good rebounder. And unfortunately, he did get injured and he's going to miss a little bit of the start of the season. But once he does return, I'm sure he'll have a pretty good comeback. So, Jaren Jackson Jr. in my top 5 for those reasons. Number 4, Pascal Siakam. So Pascal Siakam had a pretty good season last year. Um, there were a few games where Tyrese didn't necessarily show up, and who was the one that ended up showing up instead? Pascal Siakam more times than not. Last year, he averaged 20 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 52% from the field and 39 from three. Um, and yeah, very good um, at attacking the paint. He is quick, he is lengthy, and he has good ball handling skills. And yeah, when it mattered most, he delivered in the playoffs, especially. And obviously, knowing that Tyrese is going to miss most, if not all, of this season, expect a increased role for Pascal, and probably going to be the number one option for the team for this season. So, um, yeah, definitely worthy of being in the top five. Pascal Siakam. Number three, Paolo Banchero. So, obviously, I just mentioned like I had a little bit of a debate between AD and Paulo, who's higher between the two. Ultimately, I went with AD, but Paulo, not too shabby. Um, entering his entering his fourth season now. Um, Last season, he averaged 26 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 45% from the field, 32 from three. Um, Last season, matter of fact, last season he was one of 5 players to put up at least 25, 7, and 4. And he's a pretty entertaining player to watch for sure. Um, and if he can keep it going and keep getting better, maybe he will jump to number 2 next year. So we shall see on that. But yeah, Magic, obviously, they had a pretty good run last year. Maybe they make the next leap this season. I mean, Eastern Conference is wide open, so it's possible. Um, Number 2, Anthony Davis. So obviously, the thing about AD is injury problems, but when he is on the floor, he is obviously really damn good and at least, I would say at least a top 15 player in the NBA. You could argue top 10. Um, But yeah, averaged 25 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 52% from the field. However, his 3-point shooting did go downhill for sure. He only shot 28% from three last year. Definitely very disappointing, especially knowing AD used to be able to pop from the outside pretty decently as a big in years back. And I think that the main thing here is knowing that AD's peak is sky's the limit. And obviously, as Lakers fans, we were able to um, enjoy a good 5.5 years with him. That was a fun run. Obviously, ultimately, the package that Nico offered to get Luka was just too good to pass up. That being said, obviously, a void needing to be filled at the center position for the Lakers. Um, but that being said, though, AD, when healthy, easily a force to be reckoned with, and that's why he is number 2. But number 1 for power forwards has to be none other than the clear-cut best power forward in the league, being Giannis Antetokounmpo. And there really just isn't that much explanation needed. He is arguably the best player in the NBA, at least the top 3 player in the NBA, and easily the top power forward in the NBA. And his game just speaks for itself. Obviously, first ballot Hall of Famer, NBA champion, NBA Finals MVP, 2-time MVP, um, won the Defensive Player of. Did he win the Defensive Player of the Year, or I think
I
he?
believe he won it twice.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, won 2 Defensive Players of the Years. Point being is he has practically done it all. NBA Cup also. Yeah, Giannis without a clear cut No debate, the top power forward in the league. So that would be my top 5 power forwards of the 2025-2026 NBA season.
Yeah, not much to say since our lists are so similar. Um, yeah, honestly, like I could just go over my list because it's the same thing. Well, I'll be saying the same thing as you, but uh, yeah, let me just give on my spiel so we can end it. Starting at number 5, who do I have? Pascal Siakam. I wanted to put him high because that playoff run was amazing from Siakam. Obviously, it could have been better. It could have been a little bit more consistent, but for the most part, he was the rock for the Pacers that will get you at least 20 a game. For the most part, I guess. Uh, his game is simple. It's just a lot of spin moves, and it works. It works every time. Why change it up when a spin move works all the time? Apparently, he's a good defender as well. Had some amazing blocks. During the finals, had amazing dunks, posters that were insane. And yeah, definitely one of the most underrated, underappreciated stars in the league. Unfortunately for the Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton will be out for the season. So we'll see how he does next year. I'm sure maybe his points per game are going to increase maybe a little bit, but I don't really see the Pacers doing much next year. So yeah, that's unfortunate, but shout out to Siakam for being amazing, surprising everybody, winning the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. That's really cool. Yeah, shout out to Siakam. I really wanted to put him over Mobley. Maybe there is an argument for that, but I do have Mobley at 4, mostly because of his defense. He is debatably the best defender in the league. He won Defensive Player of the Year last year, so I guess it's not a debate. I guess he is the best defender in the league, at least for this past season. His defense was essential for the Cavs' success last year. They were able to go on an amazing run, and a big reason why is because of his defense and his offense too. His offense has improved a bit, and he's able to help out Donovan Mitchell a little bit with the offensive load. So much so that Donovan Mitchell's points per game lowered because his teammates stepped up, including Mobley. So yeah, because of that, I have him at 4. Number 3, I have Paolo Banchero. I thought it was interesting how you had a debate between Anthony Davis and Paolo, because to me, AD is still like a lot better, especially on the defensive end. Paulo can't touch him defensively, and offensively, he's not the most efficient guy, but he'll get you 26 as you mentioned, right? He averages like 26 points per game. He is a bucket. I believe last year he might have had like a 50 bomb like early in the season, like out of nowhere. Like I think it was like the first like 4 games of the season last year, he was on fire and then got injured, something like that. So injuries was a concern last year. Hopefully this upcoming season it won't be a concern. Hopefully he'll be healthy, and now that he has Desmond Bane on his side, hopefully Jalen Suggs will be healthy all season. Hopefully Franz Wagner is healthy next season. Things are looking good for the Magic, and I'm expecting them to be like a top 4 seed. I feel like they really have no excuse since the East is looking very, very weak. So yeah, shout out to Paulo. The undisputed number 2 is Anthony Davis. I know he's older, but he is still one of the best players in the league. Like the greatest player, maybe second greatest player to never win Defensive Player of the Year, even though they are like one of the greatest defenders of all time. and second behind Tim Duncan, who somehow did not win that award. But Anthony Davis is for sure one of the most exciting shot blockers in the league. Impressive defender, could hold his own defending perimeter players. Like, he's held Steph Curry before. Like, 1-on-1 against Steph Curry, Anthony Davis was able to defend him pretty well. That's impressive. That's impressive for a big man like him. And yeah, this was the player I was hinting at earlier about. He plays as I had him as a center last year, but this year I have him as a power forward. I have him as a power forward this year because he's been wanting to play power forward for a long time, and now he will be, since the Mavs have two centers. So I'm sure one of those centers are going to be starting, and Anthony Davis will be the power forward right beside them. I think that's how it's going to work. If not, then maybe he is a center. I don't know. But still, one of my favorite players in the league. I'm very sad that the Lakers had to let him go. Obviously, I'm excited to have Luka, but in a perfect world, it would have been Luka and Anthony Davis together, and we would have won 5 chips already before the season even started. That's how good they would have been. But yeah, Anthony Davis, incredible player, has to be number 2, right behind Giannis Antetokounmpo. Obviously going to be number 1. It's the Greek Freak, for crying out loud. He is one of the best players in the league, probably the second best player in the league. There's an argument for Shea, there's an argument for Luka, but I do think he's right behind Jokic. Big reason why is because of his defense. He's still a great defender, and I don't care what James Harden has to say. Run and dunk man is good at running and dunking, and if you can't stop him, why should he change the way he plays? Nobody can stop this man, and that is why he is one of the most dominant and impressive players in the league. Giannis has to be number 1, one of the most accomplished players of all time, and he's not done with his career. It's not even close. Like, yeah, for sure. Giannis Antetokounmpo is the number 1 power forward. All right, so that is our list. I mean, like, is there anything you want to mention at all before we end it? Looking at my list, it's very similar. So if you don't have much, then that makes sense.
Honestly, not too much, because I feel like most of the players that you mentioned, I happen to have, unless it was due to positional reasons or honorable mentions. So not too much, honestly. I say overall, not a bad list.
All right. So let's just do a quick recap. So, Hoops, who are the top 15 power forwards in this upcoming NBA season, in your opinion?
So at number 15, I got John Collins. Number 14, Tobias Harris. Number 13, Keegan Murray. Number 12, Tumani Kamara. Number 11, Jeremy Grant. Number 10, Draymond Green. Number 9, Aaron Gordon. Number 8, Julius Randle. Number 7, Lauri Markkanen. Number 6, Zion Williamson. Number 5, Jaren Jackson Jr. Number 4, Pascal Siakam. Number 3, Paolo Banchero. Number 2, Anthony Davis. And at number 1, Giannis Antetokounmpo. So those are my top 15 power forwards of the 2025-2026 NBA season.
For me, I got at number 15, PJ Washington, 14, John Collins, 13, Draymond Green, 12, Aaron Gordon, 11, Lauri Markkanen, 10, Jalen Johnson, 9, Scotty Barnes, 8, Julius Randle, 7, Jaren Jackson Jr., 6, Zion Williamson, 5, Pascal Siakam, 4, Evan Mobley, 3, Paolo Banchero, 2, Anthony Davis, and at number 1, Giannis Antetokounmpo. So those are our lists. Let us know what you guys think down below. Make sure you guys are subscribed so you can check out our centers list next season, or next week. Not next season, next week. We're wrapping up the series. We're almost done with the off season. basketball is slowly but surely coming back. But yeah, as you wait till the basketball season comes along, check out our podcasts. We have a lot of great episodes. We've produced a lot of them throughout the summer, so check them out. Check out our socials. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Follow the podcast on your favorite audio platforms. And yeah, Hoops, anything you want to say before we head out?
Just wanted to mirror Memo's words a little bit. Per usual, thank you guys for the constant support for our channel. We greatly appreciate it. If you like our content, make sure to follow us on all platforms. And yeah, definitely stay tuned. The series is winding down. Next week, we go over the top 15 centers of the 2025-2026 season. And after that, we wrap up the series. And shortly, we will be at the start of the NBA season. So make sure you guys stay tuned. You don't want to miss it. And per usual, um, thank you guys. Have a great day or evening wherever you guys are watching. Take care.
We'll see you all next week. Goodbye.